Hey, Coach, I know the results weren't where you wanted them to be this weekend, but what were the main takeaways you had from the Niagara series and just getting on the road for the first time, and the results mattered in the standings?
Yeah, first two games where they counted, right? Non-conference, obviously disappointed, just like the team and the players, everybody. We don't go out to lose hockey games, but we do have to, we use the term a lot, we win or we learn, and we definitely have to start learning from these three games we played. And, I always say the real result is in the next game. And if we can take what happened this past weekend, make some corrections to it, tighten up our details and habits with and without the puck from an individual standpoint, and then collectively, structurally from a team standpoint, that just gives us a chance to win a hockey game. It doesn't guarantee it, but as I said to our guys, I get losing hockey games. I'm okay, but we got to lose it the right way, and we got to play our way and play with our identity. And I thought this weekend we didn't really have an identity. If someone who watched the game can tell me what the first word that comes to mind after they watch those two games, they're probably not a good word. So we need to get back to that mindset of, we talk about being relentless. I didn't think we were relentless enough on pucks.
26 shots on Friday, did not find the back of the net, though. Did you like the quality of shots, or were you trying to see some improvement going into Saturday in particular?
Yeah, definitely need to see some improvement. A lot of outside, I think, for a lot of players. I think for a lot of our forwards, everybody, we had a hard time getting to the inside of the ice. I didn't think our forwards did a good job of getting over top of goalie's eye, second, third opportunities. And at the end of the day, that's where goals are scored. It's inside the paint and battling and whacking and making, second, third opportunities. So again, something we need to mimic this week and really stress. And we thought no better than like today was to run more of a controlled scrimmage, because we have so much of our game right now. We have to get the finer details in, and I think when you do drills, like I was talking with Buddy Powers this morning about it, when you do drills, they're not game-like, and even he mentioned, which was funny, we had a controlled scrimmage today, and he said right away, we're sitting there, he goes, why do you guys scrimmage? I'm like, well, it's on the sheet, so Budman, he still has it, he's sharp there, and I agree with what he said, and it allowed us to blow things down and teach off it. So hopefully that helps over the next few days, that we keep eyeing in on those controlled scrimmages.
Jumped out to the 1-0 lead on the Hodson goal Saturday, but of course the second period got away a little bit from you guys. How did you feel like your team was mentally going into that second period? What did you see that kind of transpired leading to those 4 goals for Niagara?
Yeah, obviously excited about the start, especially after not scoring any goals on Friday. And really nice play, really nice entry goal, great shot by Hodson there, and nice play by Levis getting it back to him. And then, it's funny how the game goes. You think back to, we had a great opportunity to score at one end of the ice. They come down, stretch it out, get to the far post, and within 5-6 seconds of our grade A, they scored. So you're like, oh, here we go. And then there's one when Benny Duran, tries to catch the puck, and it goes off his glove and in. It goes right through, and it gets redeflected. Another one when Quinn Emerson was on the ice after a hit. They were kind of on a quick 5-on-4 play back in the net. But I really think, and I told our guys this, is that, your opportunities, you work for them. They earn those opportunities though too, often. And I think sometimes, as when you're struggling to score, you start to cheat, and everyone starts curling. And that's what we got into. Guys were curling all over the ice. We're cheating up ice. We weren't staying connected on our breakouts and our entries. Like it was like, I call it 1980s, the one-hit wonders. Everyone is trying to do it themselves, and then they turn it over, then frustration leads in, and they're back down in our zone playing. So now you're defending. You get tired by defending, and as soon as you get the puck, you just have to deposit it again and get it changed because you're too tired. But we weren't managing pucks well enough, So, it's lessons learned, from our group, and we just, like I said, it's more, can we make those adjustments and show to each other, most importantly, that, we can take coaching, take changes, adapt to it, and make it better the next game. And that's been the challenge this week.
What was your thoughts on Moore, and then of course making the switch to Palmer on Saturday night? Just your overarching thoughts on the netminders this week.
Yeah, so Friday I thought Cole did a really nice job, especially in the 5-on-3. Off they had about a minute 45, minute 40 there, and obviously on those you got to be your penalty killer is your goalie. In fact, the one bright spot of the weekend was our penalty kill. I think we were perfect on the kill, and credit to Curtis and his pre-scouts and him adapting and stopping their power play. And Saturday, I thought some of those goals on Saturday, I think you'd probably want back off it. And we have, as I said all along, 3 goalies that I'm comfortable playing. We went in that period up 1-0 and down 4-1, and sometimes we need to get a little jolt, from the rest of the team, and sometimes you pull goalies, sometimes based off of performance, and sometimes not because of performance, but because you need to get, guys going, and so we thought we'd put Tyler in there and try to get a little spark from our guys, and he played well in net and let in a goal there in the third. Just they had the one empty net, and so it's as we go into this week, and we still have Jacob Snyman. Like I said, all 3 goalies are to me capable elite Division I goalies, and their job is to continue to fight to earn that ice time, take it, and run with it. And that's the challenge with not only goaltending, but defense and forwards, and I've said all along, guys got to start separating in there. We have too many right now going around in the blender. Some have to pop out, and be a fixture. For us, if we have everyone just doing the same thing over and over, we're not going to get the results. So we need everybody to elevate, challenge to be the best player on the team from a positional standpoint. And if you can challenge that, then everybody else has to keep up to you. And that hopefully makes us a better team.
Do you feel like the level of competition coming in on Friday is going to help you guys elevate? We know Windsor, a lot of talent. They've shown it in the past. Mm-hmm. This is a pretty solid group coming in here.
Yeah, we have nothing to beat. We're 0-3. Every team we're playing is good and talented, off it. So we can't sit here and think we can put our skates on. We'll get embarrassed if we think we're just going to go out and play. We have to be dialed in. We got to be competitive. We got to be structurally sound. We got to have good energy. We have to execute, and like I say all along, but that doesn't guarantee a win either, because that's a good team over there and they're well coached and good hockey players. So it's going to be another challenge, and but we're going to have to definitely want to try to start to take bigger steps. Right now we're kind of taking baby steps. Now it's time to let's jump in the deep end and go.
Coach, the first weekend, your team looked strong on power plays and generated good chances. Mm-hmm. How do you evaluate your special teams overall? And then, last year you talked about how at the end of the games you feel like when you're pulling your goalie, sometimes your team gets really aggressive. And how do you think, what's your message to them and wanting to be aggressive throughout the whole game and not just in the last period when it counts?
Yeah. So special team wise, we didn't score in the power play. We had some good looks in the power play. Trying to still get some continuity there with guys off it, I think, is really important. And obviously that's the difference of the game. Both teams had perfect penalty kills, but if we could execute on some of those power plays are meant to keep you in the game or separate you in the game, and create that separation. And we had some opportunities there to get us back in the game, and we didn't execute it. So we got to be better off that. And for the third period, the one thing is when you're down in a game, it's easy to play desperate. And what normally happens, like even on Friday, we had a much better third period. Like if you look at outside of the first period, I think in the second, third period on Friday, whether these are like consolation awards I'm giving right now to our group, kind of is that we outshot them 2-1, and then we outshot them 35-20. But the end result is still, you got to get to the inside and have premium scoring opportunity, quality scoring opportunity. But it's even in the third period, as well as we played, a 2-goal lead, I can tell you from experience with it, the hardest thing to coach is a 2-goal lead, because guys have a tendency to want to sit back. It's like other sports, like all of a sudden you go into a different defense and you're just playing to run the clock down, off it. And I think part of that might have been Saturday is I don't know if they gave a true pushback. We definitely gave a pushback, but it's easier to do that when you're down, in a game. But, I like where we're at, our 6-on-5. We had some good looks. We got to understand on 6-on-5, if we lose the puck, you got to attack them. Like even on that goal, we're backing up and defending. We don't have a goalie. So if you have the puck there, I'm coming straight at you, forcing you to make a play, and if you beat me, you beat me. But what we don't want to give up is a zone. So something, and we haven't worked on 6-on-5. So definitely something that, we're going to need to hone in on.
And, this week, this game, you have a bunch of new players coming in this year. And then is there any expectations with any outstanders for this game or anybody you want to test them a little bit more how they handle the pressure?
Yeah, well, and like I always say, pressure only comes if you're not prepared, right? You hear that all the time. You always hear pressure is a privilege. I don't know as much as there pressure, but we have a much higher standard in expectation. We had it from even last year when I came in. It jumped even more this year. So I want to see guys rise to that, and rise to the standard and expectation. And if they do that, then I'm okay with the outcome. What I'm not okay is with an outcome when we don't execute and play with enough grit and enough detail. Often I think you can ask any coach that. So I need us to get back to, the basic habits and details of winning, basically. And if we do that, and it's funny because it's simple. Stopping with the stick in the right way, how you read load, communicate, not have two outside the dot, like getting to the inside, depositing pucks when you don't have a play to be made at the blue line instead of trying to beat three guys and toe drag 3-on-1, turn it over and they come right back down on 2-on-1. So as much as we just need to simplify everything right now.
This early in the year, what are the benefits? You got another opportunity where you can dress as many and play as many as you'd like. Mm-hmm. Just what are the benefits of that this early in the season?
Yeah, it's huge, especially where we're at. I think if we were in a different boat, I'd be like, let's get into league games. You know what I mean? Off it, but we do get this time at the schedule was kind of set for 3 weeks of kind of understanding who we are, trying to evaluate where everybody's at, and then putting together our best effort come Lake State. So, we'll utilize this week and this weekend as continue to grow and continue to teach. And then, obviously next week is not that we're not ramped up this week, but next week is really what's going to count.
Anybody else? Peter, online, you got any questions for us?
I sure do, and no low-hanging fruit this week, Coach. I give you a lot of credit. You're very thoughtful, and you plan well. I can see that through the early schedule, the exhibition game, the 2 non-conference games, and another exhibition game, so that you can get yourself prepared, ready for the start of the season. With that in mind, my next 2 questions have to do with your thought process, and the first one is, how do you instill the urgency in the incoming CHL players that every game matters in the season that's approximately half of what they're used to playing, where I don't like to use the term throwaway games, but, they could have played games where, okay, we play tomorrow, we can get back on track.
Right. So you referenced CHL. We have other freshmen from other leagues. Do you want me to refer to them as well?
On this one, I just want to stick, you can do both. You answer how you want.
Because I don't think that's a great question, to be honest, because you're segregating just CHL players, which are junior players, no different than USHL players.
Yeah, the USHL kids also play a longer schedule.
You have North America, you have everybody. So, and I don't think we look at it as an urgency. Our whole team needs to be more urgent. It's not just segregated by one class or one group of players coming in. If you watch the games on the weekend, we had no urgency from anybody. So my concern is just that. We need everybody on board to play with urgency, with compete, with conviction. And we had too many people that I thought were just kind of like bystanders, waiting for something to happen or something easy to happen. And again, that's where we have to switch, I think, our minds to understanding what hard skill is. And I think what we found this weekend was it was tough to get to the inside for all our guys. Returners, people from across the ocean, CHL, USHL, North American League guys, like no one got to the inside, off it. So it's something that, is an area of the game that we need to focus on for sure.
Okay, and that leads me to my second question is, while you're getting the new guys, the freshmen, I mean, even, guys who are in their second year, how do you get them to raise the bar that good enough isn't good enough anymore? And, case in point is, how do you get the returning players, like you talked about, play with more pace every shift, drive to the hard areas, and play with a little more controlled aggression without the puck, and bring it every shift. I'm going to point out one player who stood out to me in the 2 games, Dominic Ryman. He was a demon on the ice. But the trouble was, I didn't see his line mates playing to his level of intensity and aggression every shift like he did.
Yeah.
How do you pull that out of the guy?
Well, it's by repetition, practice. Some guys don't have it either. And those that don't have it probably won't be going. You know, like we're on demand performance we talk about all the time. You know, and we need to have, because what you're talking about is not a skill set. Like what you saw out of Dominic Ryman was not a skill set. It was just to compete. An engine that didn't stop. And he's probably the smallest player on our team. And the most, you know, he doesn't have any fear. You know, like he goes in and when he came in for video this week, he set it up Sunday with me right away for Monday meeting. And he wanted to know how we could get to the inside better. So there was a player that was able to already identify after a weekend from a personal individual standpoint, what he needed to work on, identified, and got right over to it. You know, but we need more players that are going to want to get to those areas. And I said some have a knack for it, you know, off it. Some struggle. Some are scared to get in there. You know, like it just. But if you don't want to go to those areas, both offensively and defensively, the game is played within the dots and in the blue paint. Anybody can stay outside and just circle around, you know, and stay perimeters. But, you know, in today's day and age, you know, you need stacked screens, you need second, third opportunities. The goalies are too good. You know, the goalies are big. Everyone defends well. Structure's good. So most goals are scored after a shot and a loose puck recovery and a second, third opportunity. And if you look at our 2 goals, we're off a line rush. Right, so we're able to kick that out right away. And the second goal by Morneau was off of a shot, rebound, right in the slot, 5-hole. You know, like, and if you looked at where we were last year, probably scoring goals, and if you look around, majority of the goals are scored on the inside. So it is an area that, you know, we need guys continuing to do. We need guys to battle in there and be uncomfortable getting in there. And you might not be the one scoring it, but it might go off your leg or your back or anything. You know, and someone's coming in and pick up the rebound. So I think the ones that, you know, we were going through the middle of the ice in the blue paint, but we weren't stopping. We were drifting across instead of putting on the brakes and boxing out and buying your ice. And we got to work on that for sure.
Those are the things that make the difference so that all your tactics
Yep,
be executed properly.
for sure.
Anyway, good luck this weekend, Coach.
Thank you.